Good morning and welcome. It's my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of Racial Justice Rising. My name is Cheryl Hogan. And I just want to briefly tell you who we are, but there's longer explanations available in the back. Racial Justice Rising grew out of a project called Mass Slavery Apology, and that is described in this booklet, which we have in the back also. It's really an apology for the behavior of our country, the white population, what we've done to create slavery and to perpetuate it, and to ask for reparations. So our goal in these programs is to educate the public about racism and how it's affected the people of color in this country. So education is, well, it's really half our goal. The other half is that everybody become active based on the information that, that you receive here and elsewhere. So this is housekeeping. We hope that you sign in at the table. If you haven't got already on our email list and you want to receive information about our programs, then be sure to leave your email address. Bathrooms on both ends of the hall. If you go out the door and go to the right, there's a couple of bathrooms there. There's one also at the other end of the hall. And there are evaluations available. I guess they're at the desk when you came in, but we want to make sure that everybody fills out an evaluation at the end. I'll probably remind you later. We also would very much love it if anybody wants to join us in our work. We have a vigil on the town common. I think today it got frozen out, but usually from 9 to 10 every Saturday there's a vigil for against racism, for Black lives, and similar subjects. And also we have these programs that we do every month. So we invite anybody who would like to join us in that. At the end of this, our program, which we are starting a little late, but at the end of the program will be time for announcements. If anybody has an announcement they'd like to offer on a relevant subject that has something to do with race and racism. I think that's all. Did I forget something? Okay. So now Kate Woolner is going to introduce our panel. Yes, Gloria?
Next month.
Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to announce. Next month's program, we don't have any handouts about it, but it's going to be active bystander training. That means, how do you know how to respond if you see something happening anywhere that you think is inappropriate, dangerous, threatening to anybody else. So it's teaching us how, in those moments of distress and panic, what do you do?
When?
The first Saturday of March. March 3rd. Okay. Thank you, Gloria.
March 3rd.
Hi, I'm Kate Woolner. It's wonderful to see so many people here. There is one other thing I want to mention, and that is we're an all-volunteer organization, and we depend on donations to put on programs like this and the other work that we do. And in addition to supporting these free programs, this month we're also going to be doing a percentage of what we collect today to the Franklin County People's Fund. So just want to let you know that there are collection jars on the resource table, on the food table, and at the welcome table. And if you feel so moved, we'd love to have you help us and also help the Franklin County People's Fund, which you'll be hearing about later. So our panel today, Javier Luengo-Garrido is the director or coordinator, I'm not sure what your title is. Okay, coordinator of the Massachusetts Immigrant Protection Project, which is a program of the ACLU. And he's worked with immigrant families in the Valley for many years, and he also brings to his ACLU position his own experience as a native Chilean who has successfully navigated the U.S. immigration system. Javier, good morning. Bill Newman, a civil rights attorney practicing in Western Mass since 1976, has been the director of the Western Mass office of the ACLU since 1987. And following the presidential election of 2016, his ACLU office founded the Immigrant Protection Project of Western Mass. Auda Gonzalez, on the end, buenos dias. She is a Franklin County immigrant parent living in South Deerfield. She's from Guatemala and has 2 sons who are here today, and her husband's from Mexico. She'll be talking about her experience and the experience of other local immigrant families living under Trump's policies. Hermana Rosa Amalia Torres Armendariz, okay, thank you, is from Mexico. She belongs to the Order of Missionaries of Our Lady of Perpetual Aid, and she arrived in the U.S. 4 years ago to participate in the life of faith with Latina families in the Springfield Diocese and to help them with personal issues aiming for unity in the Hispanic community. She's been here in Franklin County since 2015 at Our Lady of Peace Church in Turners Falls, working with Latina community in Franklin County. Following those panelists' presentations, we'll also have announcements about specific ways to get involved personally or financially to support immigrants in our community. Andrea Schmidt from the Pioneer Workers Center will be talking about Sanctuary in the Streets, the Rideshare and the Rapid Response Network, and Taryn Amina from the Center for New Americans will be talking about mentoring immigrants, the Franklin County Farm Workers Rideshare, and the Franklin County People's Fund. I'm done.
Good morning. Javier and I are going to talk for a bit about the Immigrant Protection Project, tell you what it is and why it is. And Javier has now been the director, effectively the director of the IPP for about 3 months now. And we are getting to the point where we're completing each other's sentences, which I think is good. Maybe not so good, but generally works fine. So we will do this together. And I'm going to take a few minutes to tell you about the history of the IPP, how it came to be, and what the overview is. Then we'll go through some slides and discuss what our work has been, and how in particular we work here in Franklin County, because the Greenfield Jail, is the one place in western New England where ICE has a contract for detainees. Well, okay, in its favor, it's convenient and possible for us to find people there and meet them. And even though they may be sent to Suffolk or Bristol or to the New Hampshire facility, being able to have access to persons who ICE has recently detained is actually helpful for our work. So, the IPP. After the election, I know this in hindsight does not seem particularly brilliant, but we did talk about, a number of lawyers and non-lawyers got together, and political activists, and talked about who was apt to be targeted by the Trump administration. And we felt that immigrants were the most vulnerable and most likely to be targeted. In discussing what we might do to be of help to immigrant communities, and we spoke to a lot of the advocacy agencies as well as immigrants themselves, of course, we came to the conclusion soon that Western Massachusetts was under-resourced and under-organized when it came to legal representation of immigrants. So we undertook a project to try to ameliorate or resolve those issues. How do we have more resources, more legal resources, and how do we organize? And the IPP, the Immigrant Protection Project, works this way. We have a call center. We have a live staff for 4 hours every day. Javier is there many hours during the day as well, and we will respond to the calls. I start with some good news. When we began this project, I felt, without any basis, but I felt that we might be in a situation that many of the people who called, we just couldn't help. For a variety of reasons, a variety of legal reasons. But over the past, we went live with the call center on the beginning of April of 2017, and approximately 75% of the people who've called, we have been able to do something helpful and useful for. So I think that's really good. Okay, what do we do? So one thing that we do is we do bond hearings. Persons who are picked up by ICE who are eligible for bond. And Javier will talk more about this, why it's a game changer. Why, if you can get somebody out on bond, which is the equivalent of bail and what you know about, it puts them towards the back of the line, gives them some years to prepare their defense, as opposed to if they're detained and in jail, they're going to go to the front of the line. And the chances of hiring an attorney, preparing a case, and successfully fighting the deportation, ICE calls removal, is dramatically reduced. So being out on bond matters a lot, and we have trained many, many lawyers how to do bond hearings, because you can do a bond hearing without being an immigration specialist. We provide the immigration specialists to consult with the lawyers, but these are essentially bail hearings, and we said, aha, we have hundreds of criminal defense lawyers in Western Mass, and they're terrific. Why can't we use them to do bond hearings? The answer is yes, we can, and yes, we've trained them, and yes, they're doing extremely well, and so that's one thing we do. There's another piece of this that has evolved recently, which is that when ICE picks someone up, the person can be in different legal status, and some people will be eligible for bond, and some people will not be. Some people who are not eligible for a bond are people who have final deportation orders. But some of those people with final deportation orders are actually not deportable. One example, someone is stateless. There's no country that will accept him. He can't be deported. But there he is in jail. So this becomes a different legal rubric. It becomes a habeas corpus action, how to have someone released from jail when there's no basis on which to detain him, because he may be there indefinitely. And the ACLU has a class action lawsuit going on with the Yale Law Clinic, having to do with people with long-term detention, people who are detained for a long time, over 180 days at the Franklin County Jail. So we've been doing habeas cases. We've been doing bond cases. We have had an entire family law program that we've developed with 7 or 8 statewide immigrant rights organizations to make available to immigrant families the documents so that in the worst possible situation, they have agency and control about what happens to their families. We have, in addition, the call center, which I've mentioned, which is, I think, extremely important because that gets to the under-organized problem that I identified at the beginning. There are resources in Western Mass. It's not like Boston, but there are resources. So the question is, how do we get the people who need assistance, legal assistance, to the place where they can actually get that assistance? And we have 25 or 30 project partners. We refer to them, they refer to us, and we can get people to the right place for the correct kind of help because we know all the criteria and we know what their acceptance of client policies are, and we know who can do it, and we have we have a lot of relationships that allow us to call, in effect, and communicate and say, we're sending you this person, she meets your criteria, and so on. On our family law, we have any number of attorneys in Franklin County. We have these documents, but then they don't fit everyone. And so there are questions, and we have attorneys in Franklin County who volunteered to represent these families, to go to probate and family court to, for example, do the necessary paperwork for a SIJ petition, special immigration juvenile status, or to have a declaration about custodial parental rights and so on. And the Franklin County Bar has been tremendous in terms of their availability and their willingness to take on these cases, all of which are pro bono. We've been training trainers. We'll do that on the family law documents as well. And then we've been taking, in addition to the referrals, which is a really important part because it's getting people to meaningful assistance, legal assistance. We have taken on a number of cases ourselves, including, for example, Roberta Dawa, whom I know many of you have read about, Buzz Eisenberg, who is, I think, deservedly a local hero, is a member of the IPP Coordinating Committee, and has taken on this case as an ACLU case to represent him, as we have taken on a number of clients who came to the IPP, and then the lawyer said, well, I just have to continue to represent him, and so we have. Javier, should we go through some slides?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm really sorry, Andrea. So, as Bill said, the Immigrant Protection Project started as a pilot program for the ACLU Massachusetts in a time that before Trump's election, if you were talking about how immigration could get worse, everybody would laugh because Clinton was going to get elected and things were going to change. Bill had the vision to see that this kind of program was going to end up being essential for our community in Western Mass. I have been working in the Immigrant Protection Project for a little more than 3 months, pretty intense months. I'm going to talk to you how we function. I'm going to try, as a non-lawyer, I'm going to try to be really specific and really clear. Feel free, if you have any questions for me, just raise your hand. Because I want to be really clear. I want you to know what we do. Community support is essential. Building community and working with our partners project like the Worker Center for New Americans is essential. I was lucky enough to already be working with the sisters and the congregation that Sister Rosa belongs. They do an incredible job visiting the jail and helping us. Every time that they go there and they know there's somebody new who needs assistance, they get in touch with us. And that's has been incredible collaboration. So if you have any question, if I'm not being clear in anything, you can ask me, okay? So as you can see, the Immigrant Protection Project is a coordinated regional effort by attorneys and organizations to provide immigrants in Western Mass with referral for assistance, bond support, and other needs. We can go to the next one. So how this works. We have a call center that works with volunteers. Every single volunteer is bilingual, is Spanish, English. From 3 to 5, 5 to 7. We have people being able to call. We do intakes. We have an intake, a regular general intake. We have a specific intake for people who are in detention. We have built a really good relationship with Franklin County Jail. Many times they are allowing people in detention to call us, which is highly valuable. So we are able to talk with people who are recently detained at Franklin County Jail and do an intake and see the possibilities that we're going to be able to help that person. We have in the staff, we have people from Colombia, from Chile, not only me, but other Chileans, and from Venezuela. I'm usually there from the early morning to late night. So basically, if we don't have a volunteer answering the phone, I will be working there answering any kind of call. There's reasons to call the APP. The first one is somebody trying to find a lawyer who can help with immigration and status questions. Other is get legal help if you or a loved one are detained by immigration. Make a legal plan to protect your family if you become unavailable, that's related. I'm going to be talking about the family docs law document that we do. Next slide. So one of the reasons why we ended up training criminal lawyers is because we do feel strongly that being able to have representation in your bond hearing is essential. The bond hearing is the equivalent of the bail in a state criminal court. One of the big differences in the criminal court, you're going to be, if you can afford a lawyer, you're going to be assigned one. The immigrant doesn't have that right in immigration court. Also, the big difference is that if we are able to get somebody out in bond, the process slows down. if we're able to get somebody out in bond, the process is going to slow down to as much as 2 years, 2.5 years, 3 years to be able to defend the case. So it's not only that the person is going to be able to get out of detention. That person is going to be able to reunite it with his family or her family. That person is going to be able to go back to the community. They can work with community support organizations like the Worker Center, who has been an incredible partner in many bond cases for that. They are also going to be able to work with a lawyer in their case, preparing their removal defense. But what happens if the client is denied bond? The client goes into a fast-track lane. The same process that I was telling you about that was going to last 2 years, 2.5 years, is going to last 2 weeks. After that, probably he's going to be deported in as short as 1 month. So it's a game changer. And one of the reasons why, as an Immigrant Protection Project, we do this kind of representation is because if we're able to get somebody out in bond, that person now is going to be able to be represented for the merits case for another lawyer. And we have created a network of immigration lawyers that we know, we trust, and we know that they have high standards and they are not going to be ripping off our immigrant community, which is essential, having in mind that the immigrant community is one of the most vulnerable communities around. We also do the Massachusetts Law Reform Institute, developed with a huge group of partners, among them us, family support documents. How we use those is that usually in a normal situation we train service providers to use those documents. Those documents have a lot of legality that Bill in some point maybe can touch base with that. For a non-lawyer perspective, I tend to call emergency documents because those documents are going to cover bases with what happens if mom is detained, what happens if dad is detained, what happens if both parties are detained, who's going to take care of the kids, who's going to be able to make decisions from a point of view for health-related matters, school-related matters. Also, these documents have a travel authorization. So a third person would be able to travel with the children and get the family reunited. Next one. Thank you. So far, one of the reasons why we are located in Northampton is because it's a sort of a crossroads. We are not so far away at all from Franklin County Jail. And at the same time, we're not so far at all from Hartford Immigration Court, where all the people who are being detained in Western Mass are being taken to be registered. So far, we have been able to get 7 clients out of bond. The last case Bill was touching base with was Niver Abdallah. Niver spent 7 months in jail, as you may know. During that time, before being detained by ICE, he was checking during 7 years, twice a year. And at the same time, he was taking care of his 2 parents. In June 8th, when he was to check in with ICE, he was detained. During the 7 months that he was in jail, mom passed away in July, dad passed away in November. ICE didn't allow him to go to the funeral at all. So it was essential for us to be able to help Niver, and we have an incredible team of lawyers, among them Boss Eisenberg. And being honest with you, if something happened to me, one of the people that I would like to be my lawyer, that's Boss Eisenberg.
Yeah.
He has worked with Guantanamo detainees. He worked with Bill with the road sentence, and he worked in such an incredible way, in such an incredible manner, to get Niver out of detention. Niver was part of a nationwide lawsuit in Michigan. Judge Goldsmith's decision was that every single Iraqi part of that lawsuit should be granted a bond hearing, to see if they are going to be released or not. And if that didn't happen before February 3rd, they should be released. Boss got the bond hearing, and Niver ended up being released with no bond, but they didn't have to pay for his release, and he was released with no conditions. And what that's mean? Because things are getting harder and harder for us, ICE is being more aggressive. And now so far conditions could be that the person getting out of detention is going to have to check twice with ICE. Or they can come to your house on a Tuesday at any point, which is terrible because that means that you're not going to be able to have a regular job. You're not going to be able to have a regular life. Also, one of the things that we're seeing is people getting GPS tracking devices attached to them, ankle bracelets. So Boss Eisenberg was able to get Niver out of detention with no bond and with no conditions. But at the same time, how we think about that is, this is a kind of outcome that these kind of cases should have. The judge usually oversees two different reasons if the person is going to be granted bond. That is not a flying risk and it's not a danger for society. Certainly, we have those covered in that case. So, for us, it's not a surprise, the outcome, because it's the outcome that should happen in every single case when we have somebody with these characteristics. And let me tell you, the community partnership helps so much. In Niver's bond hearing, the Worker Center sent 30 people to show community support. We do a lot of job in the legal field. We do a lot of support, but certainly being able to partner with community-based organizations and service providers, it's key to be able to do it.
Typically speaking, how much would a typical bail be?
So in immigration court, the lowest bond that I feel self-conscious because I'm not a lawyer and he's a lawyer. But anyway, so
You're getting graded.
So-
You're doing great.
Thank you. Do you hear that? So the lowest that you can get bond in immigration court is as low as $1,500, and highest I have heard 20,000, 30,000. Our last client that was asked for a bond of 5,000. And again, going back again, the Worker Center did an incredible job raising money, moving the community. And even for Niver, there was a massive, around 250, 300 people manifestation outside Northampton City Hall supporting Niver, and all moved by the community.
So if we want to be someone that would contribute to that and find some people that contribute to raising that bail money, would we be wise to work with the community center? The Worker Center?
So my thought on that is, why don't you hang on for a little while, okay? We have, for all of the clients who've achieved bail, we have either through their churches, their faith communities, or crowdsourcing of one sort or another, we've raised collectively as a community the bond, and we will have some more to say about that soon. So the answer to that is yes, you'll be able to contribute. Give us 30 more days.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just say two other quick things to just add to what Javier has said, and I want to add this because I think it's important in Franklin County. Javier mentioned how we have a good working relationship with the Franklin County Jail, and that's absolutely true. And we have now been doing for the past 3 months, and will continue to do, Know Your Rights trainings at the jail in the ICE pod. And this is a joint effort between the IPP, the ACLU of Massachusetts, and PAIR and Central West Justice. And we send lawyers, paralegals, and translators to the jail and meet with everyone who wants to meet with us in the ICE pod. We give the presentations, and then we meet with them individually to review their status and their immigration case. I would also like to just add, with regard to the notion of these family documents, that we have trained what, Javier, about a dozen or 15 different groups on how to 15 groups, service providers on how to prepare the documents. They're fillable PDFs, and they have been, I think, of great use, and we were really happy to have had this collaboration with the Mixed Law Reform Institute and MIRA and PAIR and Cambridge Somerville Legal Services and any number of other legal services providers to create these documents that now are statewide and didn't exist. Unlike the state of Connecticut, which puts these out as part of the state's work, we had to create these documents here in Massachusetts, and we're in some unknown legal terrain. So I think that's, on behalf of all of those groups, I just cannot, and for those groups, I can't thank them enough. I'd also think it's important to note that with regard to our legal referral, particularly on bond, but not only for bond, also for habeas, that we have immigration lawyers who oversee and supervise this and act, for example, in the Bird's case, as cooperating attorneys with the ACLU of Massachusetts. And those lawyers in particular are Megan Clute, who is with the law firm of Kern and Berger in Northampton, and Scott Clark, who is with the Best, what's the name of the firm? Best law firm. Okay, so the guy got, he won the birth lottery on the name for a lawyer, Best. Okay, so anyway, then one final word of the magic of these documents is that what it does is it keeps DCF out of the process. It all functions outside of the court system. It doesn't have any official document that exists anyway. We're very protective of the documents, and ICE has no way of getting to them.
Following up about the family documents, as a personal opinion and as an immigrant, and all the situation that we're seeing around, I can say that family documents, it's a really difficult situation to sit with a family, and make them think what's going to happen if things get bad. How I see it, it is a difficult thing to do, but at the same time, also putting the family documents as something that they can control. It's something that they can decide. It's something that they can be proactive. And having control and being proactive when you don't know if tomorrow you're going to be detained or not, it's essential. And it's essential also that the community, like places like the Brick House in Turner Falls, that supports in an incredible way the immigrant community in Turner Falls. They do that kind of stuff. We meet regularly with them. We are in touch always with them. And it's essential that we support our immigrant families with family documents, but also getting engaged in this kind of organizations. Hold on. I'm gonna say something about the previous slide. Sorry, that was a hiccup. So Bill mentioned the special immigrant juvenile status. So there are different kind of immigration relief that people that are calling us would be able to access depending on their specific case, right? So we have received and assisted around 182 individuals calling the call center with different concerns. Many of those are asylum cases. Special immigrant juvenile status refers to unaccompanied minors needing representation, potential visa cases, bond representation, and general immigration questions. We do all this. We have a big pool of organizations that work with us. Catholic Charities, Justice for Our Neighbors, Central West Justice, it goes on and on. And we're lucky, as Bill said, to count with people who are overseeing the lawyers doing all this work. So in that way, after the Trump election, there were a huge amount of lawyers, a huge amount of people that wanted to volunteer time to help immigrants. And we are able now to harness all that energy, all of that interest into this project. Yes?
How many unaccompanied minors have you dealt with, and how do they end up unaccompanied?
Well, that's a good question. The reality is many times you have families trying to come in here and trying to be reunited, and sometimes the minor would travel with their aunt, uncle, or some relative. And in that case, when they get detained, many times to be able to release the minor, they need a person, wherever the minor is coming, to take full responsibility, even guardianship of the kid. We have gotten cases like that. How much, I prefer not to mention numbers in that case, but certainly we are working with cases like that, and thank God, I have to say, we have one of our partners, which is Central with Justice and Justice for the Neighbors, that they do work with all these cases. So we are able to refer these cases to them, and after their screening, if they get screened and approved, they get full represented for free.
Let me just add one thing that I think was really 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute? 1 minute. Okay, let me just add this because I think it's important for you to understand how this functionally works. At the beginning of the project, we sat down with immigrant law specialists and created an intake questionnaire that essentially works like a decision tree, which gets us to a lot of information, or at least a tentative view of what this person needs that might allow him or her or their kids to get to status. So we have one of those, which is our general intake questionnaire. We have one for bond, and we have one for other specialized purposes. So we just want you to know that this is not, we have trained all of our intake call center volunteers have been trained, and Javier now trains each new volunteer personally. But you should know that this is supervised by immigration law specialists, and this questionnaire and decision tree has been extremely valuable for us.
The next one is going to be the phone number and contact information.
We need to move on, so folks can just note that.
We need to move on. There are going to be questions later. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. First, I want to say you want to apologize me because I probably will make a mistake with my English. This is believe me, I just went for 2 years of school in my country, so I try to do my best.
Sounds good.
All right, yes.
Hello, my name is Auda Gonzalez. I am from Guatemala. First, I want to thank God and all of the good people here today who show support today. I have the opportunity to introduce myself to all of you and to tell you about my experience as an immigrant in this country. First, when I left Guatemala 12 years ago, with only a backpack full of my fears and my dreams. You may be asked, why fears, right? Because normally people come with the dreams. In Guatemala, I suffered domestic violence. Thanks to God, I survived both physically and emotionally. Also, violence. Thanks to God, I survived physical and emotional violence. Also, some of my family members lost their lives to the violence in my country. One of them was my brother, Martin Gonzalez. rest in peace. I had many dreams. When I decided to immigrate from my country, I want to find opportunities for my life. The trip was very difficult, but my hope to flee my country was stronger than I did not care how difficult it was. Only God and myself knew the road I had taken. No one in my family knew that I had left my country until I arrived here. After several months of travel, I unpacked my backpack full of dreams. But it was not been easy for me here either. Here, you find many doors that are closed to you. It feels like your hands are tied. You don't have opportunities to work. You can't drive because you can't get a license. You don't speak English very well. People think you has just a machine to be worked. They discriminate against you because of the color of your skin and the language that you speak. For example, I have been looking for a job for a year and I have not found a job yet. Even first, I have a farm worker before I got my kids. And then when my little ones started to go to school, I start to find a job. But I don't have nothing yet either to clean a house or something like that. I am grateful to the Center for New Americans for the opportunity they gave me to be trained as a home care worker, but with no social security number. I have not been able to find work. It is a sad situation. I just want to find something, that keeping supporting my family, and my family here, my family there. That's part of my dreams, to keep working. And this is a country of immigrants, but when we can be a full part of this culture, in God's eyes, we are equal. We immigrants are people who want to make a better life for ourselves by working hard, and we give so much to this country. I believe that because we really just come to work hard. When I first came to Massachusetts, my first job was on a farm. I had many accidents. There, last time I broke my arm, it was when I worked before I got my kids. I broke my arm while working on the farm, and the owners did not want to take me to the hospital. They tried to take me to my house with only an ice pack for the pain. And what was I going to do at home like that? Then they said, okay, we will take you to the hospital, but tell them that you got hurt at home. Finally, the farm owner took me to the hospital, but she just left me there. I don't think if she ever knew if I left the hospital or if I am still there today, until the sun today. Maybe some people don't know what we are supposed to work on farms. You will find good prices and everything looking beautiful at the supermarket, but behind that, there are many abuses, poor working condition, and low wages. Sometimes workers have no water to drink in a suffocating heat, no opportunities or a good place to go to the bathroom, no water or soap to wash their hand or our hands, because I am a farm worker also. Not right now, I'm still looking for, and they are not given the right to take a break at least. I think that when we have time to rest, we have more energy for our work. We come to this country to do the work they ask us to do, but we deserve to be treated like humans. That is one of my dreams that I hope to see become a reality one day, that working conditions for immigrants are made better, because I believe in God and I believe this will be possible. It could take me too much time to tell you all of the things that I have happening to me. But one of the difficult things that I experienced when I had recently arrived was that when I was attacked by a co-worker with a knife. It was very traumatic for me, because I escaped violence in my own country, and then I faced more violence, and then when I came here, unfortunately for me. And here I didn't know anyone, I had no family. I believe that when I just went to rent an apartment and that has no windows, it was in January, and the next day when I just woke up, I saw the sofa next to my bed full of ice, full of snow into my room, and I don't have no families, no friends, and it was hard for me. No one to support me. I have lived through some very difficult times, but I have survived, thanks to God. Now, in this country, God has given me my beautiful family, who are my sons, my little one Matthew, my little one Abraham, my husband, he's from Mexico, and I am from Guatemala. My husband has his own history also. He was arrested by immigration officials in 2010, and they almost deported him. It is so sad that many families now are going through a similar experience, being separated by deportation. I identify with, and I feel solidarity with those families. We all hope for a better tomorrow for the families who have had their loving father or loving mother taken away from them, because those children are the future of this country and the tomorrow. Thanks to God to have me today here. God bless the immigrant community, and God bless America. And my wish is everything will be changed. Everything will be a really dream that we know a bad dream. Thank you.
question is, how is it possible that when a person gets out of detention or before they go in or return back to their families, reunite with their families, what type of job what could we get, how, is there a job that they could do that is not illegal, basically, to make money? Because you're out of, you're back with your families, but you can't take care of them like she just said. What is it that we can do to help them make or something? Or is that a possibility at all? Is there a loophole? Okay.
So what jobs can people get? That's the question.
Cheryl?
Okay, so this is why we have a Fifth Amendment, where I'm going to remain silent to some degree. I think that you should know there are strict laws for employers on hiring persons, and there are strict laws that require proof of eligibility to work in the country, and those are not easy to find ways around. That said, if a person is not formally an employer, there are ways in which you can help persons who need economic assistance. And again, if someone were, for example, I don't want to go into great detail. I think there are ways, and if there are people who want to help, we'll be happy to talk to you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sister Rosa Amalia Torres Armentaris. I'm from Mexico, and I belong to the congregation Missionary Sisters of Our Lady of Perpetual Help. We are four of us are here in Franklin County since 2015. Quiero empezar con esta frase.
I want to start with this phrase.
Dios ama al inmigrante.
God loves the immigrant.
Amarán al inmigrante porque ustedes fueron emigrantes en Egipto.
You should love the immigrant because you were immigrants yourself in Egypt.
Somos hijas e hijos de inmigrantes o desplazados.
We're sons and daughters of immigrants.
Nacidos en tierras extrañas, crecimos en distintos lugares.
We were born in foreign lands and we grew in, can you repeat that?
Crecimos en distintos lugares.
And we grow in different places.
Pero somos todos habitantes de la casa común.
But every one of us lives in a common house.
La realidad del mundo actual no se puede entender sin incluir en el análisis a las migraciones. La realidad del mundo actual no se puede entender.
The reality of nowadays, we cannot understand it.
Millones de personas vagan de un país a otro
Millions of people goes from one country to the other,
en mejores condiciones de vida
looking for better conditions for their lives,
y esperanza,
with hope,
por razones económicas,
for economical reasons,
políticas,
political reasons,
raciales,
racials,
violencia,
violence,
guerra.
and war.
Para quienes somos migrantes,
For us.
aparecen muchos problemas
For us who are immigrants, we face a lot of problems
en la nueva tierra
in the new land
a la que arribamos. El idioma,
that we arrive with.
la documentación,
Language, documentation,
el choque cultural,
the cultural shock,
religioso.
religious.
Sobre la mayoría de los migrantes pesa una angustia existencial constante,
There's a heavy weight in immigrants from an emotional point of view
ya que tienen que trabajar mucho tiempo extra
because they have to work
para asegurar la supervivencia de la vivienda, los gastos cotidianos,
because they have to work so much to be able to support themselves.
Nuestras familias sufren exclusión y explotación.
Our families suffer discrimination and exploitation.
Y en algunos momentos ellos reflejan un rostro de muerte.
And in some instances, you can see in their faces, the face of death.
Sin embargo, yo he reflexionado
But I have think about this,
que a través de la historia de los Estados Unidos,
that through the United States history,
hasta antes de que fueran considerados los Estados Unidos, siempre ha habido inmigrantes.
that even before this country was called the United States, we was a country of immigrants
Que han venido a esta nación en búsqueda de una vida mejor.
that came to this country looking for a better life.
La mayoría de la gente que actualmente vive en los Estados Unidos
A huge amount of people that actually lives in the United States
vive aquí gracias a sus antepasados
is living here because of the people who came before
que
them,
emigraron a este país
that immigrated to this country
durante un periodo de su vida.
during at some point of their lives.
Aunque no todos los estadounidenses son considerados inmigrantes,
But even though not all United
sus
States are
pasadas
considered
generaciones,
immigrants,
sus pasadas generaciones fueron en algún momento.
their past generations, certainly they were immigrants.
Pudieron tener éxito
And they were able to be successful,
asimilándose a la cultura que existía en el pasado.
assimilating to the culture of that time.
Es por eso que las misioneras de Nuestra Señora del Perpetuo Socorro
It's the reason why my congregation,
llegó desde el 2009, para ser exactos,
since 2009 to be exact,
a la diócesis de Springfield, Massachusetts.
to the Springfield Diocese.
Es en la Iglesia Católica quien nos envía.
It's the Catholic Church who is sending us.
Ellos nos van enviando a diferentes lugares donde hay Iglesia Católica
They are sending us to work where they are Catholic churches,
para ir a nuestros hermanos hispanos, nuestra familia.
to go and assist our brothers.
El objetivo es conocerlos y unirlos como comunidad.
And the objective is to get to know them and be able to get them together as a community.
Fuimos invitadas a involucrarnos
We were invited to get involved
con obras y gestos
with our acts and with our word
en la vida cotidiana de nuestras familias hispanas,
in the everyday life of our Hispanic families,
sobre aquellas familias que estaban en situaciones difíciles.
even more with those families that were suffering hard times.
Al llegar aquí, nosotras no conocíamos a nadie.
When we came here, we didn't know anybody.
El primer contacto que tuvimos era en las calles.
The first contact that we had with people were in the street.
Íbamos a los eventos que había
We went to events that were happening around.
y ahí íbamos conociendo a cada familia hispana.
And in those events, we were meeting all these Hispanic families.
Empezamos a hacer contactos.
We started making contacts.
Así como ustedes están aquí reunidos todos ahora,
In the same way how you are here now,
vienen de diferentes lugares,
you're coming from different places,
diferentes oficinas de asistencia social.
different offices of social assistance.
Y todo es en favorecer la vida de todos los que estamos viviendo en este país.
And this is all about helping everybody who is here.
Empezamos a hacer conexiones en New American Center,
We're starting to build connections with Center for New Americans.
Nelquick.
Edwin, thank you.
Sorry. Todas las aquí en Franklin County tienen la dicha de que hay mucha ayuda.
Here in Franklin County, you're lucky that there is a lot of help.
Antes en otra misión yo estuve en Pittsfield, no había visto de cerca esta ayuda.
Before, I was in Pittsfield in a different mission, and there was no so much help.
Hay programas
There are programs
que promueven la vida de la familia integral.
that promotes family values and family life.
Para nosotras como misioneras
For us as a missionary,
ha sido de mucha ayuda encontrar estos programas.
has been really helpful to find all these programs.
Nos ha impulsado a trabajar en equipo,
This has been pushing us to work as a team,
a hacer alianzas.
to make alliances.
Somos enviadas a evangelizar a dar a conocer el Evangelio de Jesús.
We're being sent to talk about Jesus and the Bible.
Sin embargo, Jesús primero tocó la vida humana de la persona.
But first, we know that Jesus touched the human person.
Así empezamos nosotras la misión. En momentos las familias sentían mucha desconfianza al recibirnos en sus hogares.
That's how we started. And at the beginning, the families have they were worried about us because they didn't know anything about us.
Y fue un trabajo de 6 meses, visitas constantes a cada familia.
It took around 6 months with constant visit to them for them to be able to trust us.
Acercarnos a ellos, conocerlos por su nombre.
To get close to them, to get to know them by their name.
Hasta el momento de lograr compartir su experiencia al llegar a este país.
To get to that point where they're going to be open with us and talk about their experience getting to the United States.
Hemos ido conociendo que las mujeres latinas, hispanas,
We have been getting to know that the women that we're getting to know in the community
en Franklin County
in Franklin County,
necesitan de promoción humana,
they need of human promotion
porque ellas tienen, su vida ha sido muy sufriente en sus países,
because they have had a really hard life.
y al llegar a este país continúan sufriendo la
And
discriminación.
when they get to this country, they keep suffering discrimination.
Nos damos cuenta que tenemos mucho por hacer.
We are realizing that we have a lot more to do.
Hemos dado a conocer la cultura de sus propios países con los niños a través del baile.
We work with the families, getting to know their own culture and working with the kids with about their own culture and dances.
Otra hermana trabaja directamente en la cárcel, que es la hermana Caritina.
Another sister who works specifically at the jail, who is her sister Caritina, which, by the way, I'm in close contact with her every single day.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Trabajan unidos con Javier, con
She works
Abby.
with Javier, with Abby Grasek from the Brick House.
Yeah. El trabajo en la cárcel, nosotras hemos sido muy favorecidas porque
The work at the jail, we have been really favored because
ha habido gran apoyo.
they have been a huge support.
El contacto ha sido directo, que la hermana esté ahí dentro, se da cuenta de la realidad que viven nuestros hermanos.
Because we have direct contact with the inmates, we have first-hand accounts of what's going on at the ICE detention pod.
Ella hace el contacto les pide el número de teléfono
She talks to them, she asks for their phone number
de sus familiares.
so that we can contact their families.
Ella contacta a las familias y ella es un puente de comunicación con ellos.
She's contacting the families and she's a bridge of communication with the families.
Hubo una experiencia de un caso, tú lo conoces,
There was
Javier.
one experience of one specific case
Su
that
familia no sabía que estaba en la cárcel.
their family didn't know that he was at the jail.
A través de la hermana le dio un teléfono, les llamó y no le creían.
Through the sister, she got in touch with the family, and when she called the family, they didn't believe that he was in detention.
Porque la persona que hizo que lo metieran a la cárcel
Because the person who caused him to go to detention,
era un contacto directo con la familia.
it was a friend of the family.
Entonces ellos estaban en contacto con la familia y con él.
So they were in touch with him.
Le dijeron que una hermana había llamado.
And they told this guy that a sister called and saying that the relative was in jail.
Que si era cierto que él estaba en la cárcel.
If that was true, that this person was in jail.
La persona dijo que no era cierto,
This person said no, that was not true.
que todo estaba bien.
That everything was fine.
Luego la hermana le hizo que escribiera una carta.
Later on, she made him in jail to write a letter.
La hermana hizo llegar esta carta
The sister got the family to be able to read and get the letter.
y finalmente le creyeron.
And finally, they believed that he was in detention.
En ese momento se puso en contacto con Javier para que le ayudaran a conseguir abogado.
So in that point, she got in touch with the Immigrant Protection Project to see any kind of help that we were able to provide.
Y tenemos dos situaciones aquí en Franklin County de dos que ya han sido deportados.
We have in Franklin County already 2 situations of 2 people that have been deported so far.
Están aquí sus esposas con sus niños.
They have their families here, their wife, their kids.
ellos están batallando porque ninguna de las dos trabaja.
They are still fighting because none of the two wives is able to work.
Tienen niños pequeños.
They have little kids.
Entonces, a pesar de eso, varias personas les están ayudando.
Even with all this, there is a lot of community support.
Pero debemos de pensar otra manera de ayudarles.
But we really need to rethink a new way to be able to help these families.
Porque hay momentos en que ellas no tienen ni para pagar su teléfono.
Because there are moments that they are not even able to pay their phone bill.
Nuestras familias en este momento, algo que yo pregunté a Cherry,
So our family is something that I asked Terry.
¿qué deseas que diga? Ella me dijo, ¿qué hacen
What do you
con
want to
las
say?
familias?
And I want you to say how you do with families.
¿Cómo se sienten las familias en estos momentos?
What the situation of the families right now.
Platicando con las familias,
Talking
y
with the families.
ellos dicen, ya no están tan temerosos
The families are saying that they are not so fearful as before,
como al principio.
like at the beginning.
Sin embargo, han experimentado discriminación.
But they are still suffering discrimination.
Y unas cosas palpables son en las tiendas.
And one of the things that you can really see discrimination is in stores.
Cuando van a comprar ellos su comida,
When they have to buy the groceries,
no les gusta cómo los ven.
they don't like how they are being
Los
treated.
ven de arriba a abajo, como
They
si
are-
fueran a
just look at
robar.
them from head to toes, like if they didn't belong there.
Y se sienten perseguidos en la misma tienda cuando están buscando sus artículos.
And when they go around trying to find what they need, they feel discriminated because they feel they are being observed.
Esta es la historia de esta persona que tiene sus dos bebés.
So this person who has these two babies
Fue a la tienda,
went to the store.
no pudo tomar el carrito de la tienda
She
porque
wasn't
traía
able-
la carreola.
She wasn't able to take the shopping cart because she had the little stroller for the kid.
Entonces ella tomó los productos y lo puso en la parte de abajo.
So she put all the products below the stroller.
Cuando se dio cuenta la estaban siguiendo.
When she realized all of a sudden that she was being followed around the store.
Ella no es una persona que se deja.
She's not a person that she's gonna let this happen.
But ella trató de estar tranquila, se
But she-
dio cuenta.
But she tried to be calm even when she realized that she was being discriminated.
Y cuando estuvo en la caja para pagar,
And when she went to the cashier,
sacó todo lo de la cajuela para pagarlo.
she took all down from the stroller and put it over to pay for it.
La persona que estaba ahí ya no dijo nada, pero eso es lo que viven nuestras mujeres al día.
The cashier didn't say anything or made any comment, but that's the kind of discrimination that our families and our women are suffering every single day.
Cada día hay nuevas cosas que enfrentar con las familias.
Every day we have new obstacles that families are facing.
Hay cosas que nosotras como misioneras no podemos hacer.
There are things because we are a religious congregation that we cannot do.
Algunas oficinas o algunos hogares nos cierran las puertas.
Some offices, some homes, they close the doors to us.
Sin embargo, por eso es importante hacer estas conexiones con todos ustedes.
But that's the reason, a strong reason why this kind of connection, these kind of events are so important for our community.
Trabajar en equipo,
To work as a team,
unos a otros ayudarnos,
to be able to help each other
con los dones y talentos que nos han dado de gratis.
with all the skills and talents that God has given us.
Para mí ha sido una experiencia donde he aprendido de cada familia.
For me, it has been an experience that I have learned from every single family.
Ahora yo los considero mi familia.
Now I consider them my own family.
Son de mi sangre,
They are part of my blood.
somos latinos.
We are Latinos.
La mayoría de las personas son de Guatemala,
A lot of people are from Guatemala,
Salvador,
El Salvador,
México,
Mexico,
Ecuador,
Ecuador.
Puerto Rico.
I'm not gonna try.
Ha sido un aprendizaje.
It has been a really learning curve.
Ellos están pendientes de nosotras.
They are always paying attention.
A
and
veces
asking for
me
us.
siento apenada,
Sometimes I feel self-conscious
Porque ellos preguntan,
because they asked,
tenga cuidado.
be careful, sister.
Eso a mí me hace sentir que somos una gran
That
familia.
makes me feel that we are a big family.
Y es por eso que quiero terminar con estas frases.
And that's the reason why I want to finish this speech with this phrase.
Traigo a mi mente el personaje de la Biblia del Antiguo Testamento.
I bring to my mind a character from the Old Testament,
Viendo cómo nuestros hermanos latinos
seeing how our Latino brothers and sisters,
han sido un impacto positivo
they have been a positive impact
para este país.
for this country.
Hacen los trabajos que nadie quiere,
They are doing all the work that nobody wants to do
con mano de obra barata.
with a cheap labor hand.
Esto hace que tengan un impacto positivo en las empresas donde trabajan.
This creates that they are having an incredible positive impact where they work,
Sin embargo,
but
no se les trata
they are not being treated
como a todos.
like everybody else.
Por eso, el Abraham es un modelo de fe
That's
para
right.
la comunidad latina
That's the reason why Abraham is a model of faith for the Latin community
en los Estados
in
Unidos.
the United States.
Sus vivencias se encuentran paralelos.
His experience, we can find parallels with other experiences that happen around.
Vivió como extranjero,
He lived as a foreigner,
errante,
walking around
con temores,
with fears,
pero tuvo un encuentro
but he had an encounter
con lo eterno.
with the eternal.
El encuentro con lo eterno no siempre fue sencillo.
And when he found the eternal, when he found God, was never easy. Was not easy.
Dios a veces nos conduce por caminos extraños,
God sometimes takes us through the very difficult path
caminos de exilio y esperanza,
that are going to be of exile and hope,
de promesas por cumplirse.
of promises that they will fulfill someday.
Ojalá que pronto
Hopefully soon,
la sociedad estadounidense
the United States society
vea cuánto tenemos en común
is going to be able to realize how much we have in common.
y lo que no tienen en común
And what we don't have in common
no es necesariamente malo
is not necessarily bad
ni una amenaza.
or a threat.
Es algo que ayuda
It's something that helps
a diversificar a los Estados Unidos.
to create diversity in the United States.
Cuando pase esto,
When this happened, when they realized this,
nosotros,
we,
los latinos
the Latin community
y los estadounidenses,
and the Americans,
podremos estar unidos
we're going to be united together
y vivir juntos
and live together
en armonía,
in harmony,
como han hecho todas las culturas del pasado
like every single culture in the past has been able to live together
que emigraron a los Estados Unidos.
that have immigrated to the United States.
Eso tal vez no lo veamos nosotros,
That maybe is not going to be seen by our generation,
pero nuestros hijos quizás
but
lo vean.
our sons and daughters, maybe they are going to be able to see it.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi, thank you, everybody. I have a question about so many of the efforts by the ACLU and the community and the religious people here are based on the good relationship with the Franklin County Jail. I've visited the jail as a professor. I teach at Mount College. But I've also heard that contract might end with ICE. And I was just wondering if anyone's heard that as well, and if you can say a little about that.
Yes, there was something in the recorder this week that the contract with ICE is going to end, I don't know when, and instead the jail will be receiving women.
Sure, the question is, what about the report in the recorder this week that the Franklin County Jail was not going to continue its contract with ICE to house detainees? I believe in transparency. I believe in things being videotaped. I believe it's all really good, but I'd like to be a little bit careful since we have an audience beyond what is here in the room today. Let me say this. We have met with ICE in Burlington. We have been in contact with ICE. We've talked to the sheriff. We are familiar with what you're saying. For the moment, I don't think there is an issue about the contract being rescinded or revoked. So for the moment, I think that there is not that concern. What will happen long-term is a more complicated question. But for the moment, the status quo will remain. With this, that there has been a somewhat of a reduction in the number of persons detained in the ICE pod, but not a precipitous diminution of that number. So for the moment, I think the status quo goes on.
We're going to have a half hour of questions for anybody on the panel. I just want to give the two other folks who are just going to be giving brief announcements their opportunity.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrea and I'm with the Pioneer Valley Workers Center. So I'm going to be really brief. I mean, to start off, has anyone here ever heard of Sanctuary in the Streets? Oh, nice. Okay, cool. But for those of you who don't know what Sanctuary in the Streets is, it basically started after Trump was elected about a year ago. And the idea was for allies to get together and build a network for them to be able to provide resources for the working immigrant community. And what that really means is, resources being, in many ways it is monetary, but in other ways it's very concrete, tangible things that as allies with privilege of having status in this country, they would be able to do in a way that other folks wouldn't be able to do. So someone told me the other day that actually the tasks or the things that Sanctuary in the Streets offers are too mundane or boring, which I think is I think a lot of folks think organizing and getting involved, they have an idea that it's art and doing these more broad things, but really what's necessary and these tangible and concrete things actually make a huge difference in the community. And so in many ways, as Sister Rosa said, Sanctuary in the Streets offers a space for people to come together and really work as a team to uplift working immigrants in this time. And so, a year ago we started this rapid response network that now has about 2,000 people in it. So I'm going to give you a number if you guys if you don't have it on your phone, if you guys want to pull out your phones if you're interested. The number is 413-923-6400. And if you text this number and send your name and email, you will be added to this rapid response network of folks who have pledged to show up. And we usually send out texts when something is needed. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples of ways that this has been really successful in the community. So, for instance, in November, farm workers who were leaving work from a farm in Hatfield were detained by ICE, and they immediately called our 24-hour hotline, which is something else you can get involved in that I will talk about. And within 10 minutes, we had folks there who were supporting the people that weren't taken by ICE, and immediately called IPP. Right? Didn't you receive that? Yeah, you were there. There we go. That's a perfect example of the Workers Center and IPP really coming together and and figured out where they were being sent to detention and immediately sent folks there to offer support. So if you're part of that, these are the kinds of things you can do. And yes?
The number again, slower.
Yes, I will be. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. 413-923-6400. So that's one way to get involved. And then more within Sanctuary in the Streets, there are a couple of things that we do. We have a 24-hour hotline that was developed by volunteers that are part of Sanctuary in the Streets. And there's actually two components of it, which really shows how all of the kinds of skills and talents that we can offer to the community really make a huge difference in this. So the hotline was developed by volunteers, and one group, the tech crew, came together and built the software to have this secure hotline. And then on the other end, we had bilingual folks who got together and created a training to do Know Your Rights for folks who would be able to call at any given time and immediately get either, and the idea was, yes?
Is this number that you gave
That's not the hotline.
Not the hotline?
No. I will provide the hotline. I left the card in my jacket. I'm really sorry. If you have questions about it, you can come to me after. I was afraid of running out. I didn't want to be rude, but I have the number for later. As I was saying, hotline. Yeah. So if you're bilingual and you are interested in being part of this hotline, we really need bilingual volunteers who can take on shifts. I'm actually the point person in this, and so I can tell you that I'm taking on a ton of shifts right now because we need more volunteers. And what that means is really like having your phone, you have to have it with you during your shift. Oftentimes you probably won't get a call, but if you do get a call, you would be trained to know what to do. We've had a few occasions where it's actually an emergency, and oftentimes it's folks who have just questions. A lot of it is, folks being like, hey, I submitted an asylum case, and I haven't heard back, and what do I do? And there are several moments, and oftentimes we really refer folks to IPP. So this is one way that we work really closely together with Javier and everyone. So that's one really clear, concrete way to get involved, and would make a huge difference. And we also have a rideshare program, which also, it's really for folks who, there are different events and different situations that come up where folks need rides to places. Often, so for instance, right now, have you guys heard of Lucio Perez? He's taking sanctuary at First Church in Amherst. Okay, so his family lives in Springfield, and the rideshare program has been able to coordinate so that his family and his kids can come and see him multiple times a week. And these are all just volunteers who are doing this, and it's a really, it has been really successful, and whenever things have come up where we need someone, people are really, we have this network, and we immediately just send out a ask, and oftentimes it's been super short notice, and folks will often respond, but we always need more of that. And the reason why it's now increasingly, I'm realizing now that we need more of that is because rideshare and the need for people to accompany folks to go to see the police or to a court hearing are often they both come to work really closely together. So for instance, last week, one of the folks who's part of the rideshare program actually just ended up going with a woman who had a minor accident, and the police told her basically, you need to come to court at 8 a.m. on Sunday. Yeah, right. So the woman that volunteered was like, well, I can give her a ride, but also I should just go in with her. And I was like, absolutely, that support would be incredible. And we've been getting more asks for accompaniment, and I think one of the things that is developing within Sanctuary in the Streets that we're going to start working on is figuring out how to train folks to prep them to accompany people. And so when the woman came in to the police, she called me after and said basically the role would be to just make sure that if folks don't speak Spanish, to make sure that the cop or anyone who is there with them and is going to talk to them has a translator or is bilingual themselves, and just making sure if something sketchy is happening, to have next steps on what to do. Call the hotline, call one of us from the staff, and kind of get the ball rolling. And, because that's pretty much what happened to Nibird, is that he was going to one of his check-ins that he had been doing for years. And then his wife, when she talks about how she knew he was going to get detained, was that there was just something kind of off about the way that the officials were approaching him that one time. So someone who would do a company would do that kind of thing. And that's kind of developing right now. Yeah.
I'd just like to say that a group of neighbors, I would say, have been accompanying an immigrant who's under ICE supervision to Burlington.
Yeah.
He was going for monthly checks, but a group of us was so large, the last time he went, he got a reprieve for a year. And we just, everybody in the room, by the way,
yeah, so you were saying that basically there was a person here that the community they had to go to ICE check-ins in Burlington, and that the entire community, they would go with the person to do these check-ins regularly, and at one point there was such a large crowd that went to the check-in to support him, that he got a reprieve for a year, which is huge, and that's actually what happened to Nibird. So I don't know if I don't think you shared. Yeah, the judge apparently, when Nibird was released and he was with Buzz Eisenberg, apparently the judge had said that there was clearly so much community support for this man, because ICE had apparently been saying you shouldn't release him, he's gonna just leave and take off and not where, right? But the judge said, clearly this person is like a valued member of the community and people are fighting for him, and this should happen, So, and that was thanks to like all of the work that was done to basically just, call the office, send letters. There were hundreds of letters that were sent. And so, yeah. So hotline, rideshare, possible accompaniment. And if you're all interested in this, I invite you all to the next Sanctuary in the Streets meeting, which is conveniently tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Parlor Room in Northampton.
Monday.
Oh my God, sorry. Monday at 6 p.m. in the Parlor Room in Northampton. And the Parlor Room, do you know where Woodstar Coffee is? Oh God, right over the street?
Masonic Street.
Yes, Masonic Street, thank you.
Parking lot.
Yeah, sorry, I'm bad at street names. But yes, a Masonic Street. And if you want, I can send an email to Cheryl with the actual event information and she can blast it to people who might, if you're connected to that, or we can put it on Facebook or something.
Do you have, on the resource table, do you have literature that folks can take?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Andrea, you could make a sign and put it on the back.
Yes, I will. Yeah. And also I wanted to just send another quick plug is that if you know any folks who are looking for legal advice, whether they are DACA or TPS, we are actually going to be having clinics in the Worker Center in Northampton on February 12th from 5:30 to 7:30, and also in Springfield on February 26th, which is a Sunday, from 3 p.m. to 4:30. And these are, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with TPS, but there's been the fact that it was canceled in January. Even though folks have applied before, they really want to make sure that whatever they're sending in for one last time for renewal is right. And we've been getting a lot of requests for that. So if you just hear that, I'm going to leave my number and my email. And folks can reach out to me, and we can just put them on the list.
Where is that meeting?
In the Worker Center in Northampton, which is in Hampton Court, in Northampton. I don't know the address off the top of my head. Oh, wow. 200 Hampton Street, thank you.
And your Springfield address, please?
My Springfield address? Oh, yes, Blessed Sacrament Church, which is 40 Waverly Street. I do know that one off the top of my head. Sorry. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions afterwards, please reach out, and I might just leave the Sanctuary in the Streets number on that sheet too. Yep.
Also, isn't it also the case that on Monday nights, there's a training for people who want to participate in your rideshare?
I don't know if it's every single Monday night.
Or this coming Monday?
Yes.
Yes, I saw it posted.
Okay.
Rideshare training at 7?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We'll post all of this on the Racial Justice Rising Facebook page and website.
And for the hotline, there's monthly trainings that are actually pretty extensive. So they're usually, we have one tomorrow from 11 to 3 p.m. at the Worker Center. And so those are the kinds of, if you get involved, you can plug in and go to a monthly. Yep.
Having that, I just wanted to know, the woman who had to show up at 8 in the morning on a Sunday in Enfield?
Yep.
That went okay?
That went okay, yeah. Actually, apparently the cop was nice in that he was bilingual and basically told them that they wouldn't, so she has to show up to court ultimately, and we're following up with the family to figure out what kind of support we can offer at that. But they wouldn't, he said basically like nothing is gonna happen unless they have a warrant, and we would only know that if once they got to court. So, and really the issue right now with ICE is that, we do a lot of the Know Your Rights trainings are for any event that you get stopped at home, or that ICE comes to your door, or you get stopped by the police. But we've really been noticing that a lot of the detentions just happen at court. Like ICE will just be waiting for you there. So this is the kind of,
And if you don't show, then you have a warrant.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Shittier.
There's hands, but I'll leave the information in the back and I can stand around if anyone has more questions.
I just want to be sure that Taryn also gets to make her announcements, and then we'll have questions from anybody for anybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm Taryn Amina. I work for the Center for New Americans. I also organize with immigrant folks independently of the Center for New Americans in Franklin County. I know that we're way over time, and also there's going to be questions, so I'll just try to be really brief. And I also, I guess, want to open by echoing what Andrea said before I describe a couple of the ways to get involved. I just want to echo Andrea in saying that people do come up to me and say, I know that immigrant folks need money and material resources, but I want to get involved. And I think that there's a little bit of like dreaminess to like getting involved and a sexiness to undocumented immigrant issues, and really money and resources and indirect support are the things that are needed in droves and are needed way, way more than we're able to find the capacity to produce them. So that is how to help. Given that, I want to share two of the things that we've got going on in Franklin County specifically. One of them looks a lot like what Andrea described with the rideshare that the Workers Center is coordinating. This one is called the Franklin County Farm Workers Rideshare. It's specific to Franklin County, was organized by a crew of farm workers who wanted to help assist the folks that they were working with who were undocumented in getting rides to and from farms because of the high level of arrests that folks experience going to and from work. So the way that it works, just super briefly, is that farm workers and just folks who are unlicensed for whatever reason reach out to a couple of social service providers, and those social service providers put an ask out through the rideshare over the internet. And there's a crew of volunteers that are hundreds strong at this point who receive those emails and have been to a training. The training is an important part of the rideshare because if you get pulled over and you have a person in your car who's unlicensed, it's good to know what to do in that situation. But the training is short and you can become a volunteer really quickly. And then you can just receive emails as the needs arise and respond to them and provide rides to folks who couldn't otherwise drive to those appointments. And usually they're short notice, as Andrea was saying, but they're often very high stakes appointments to Hartford for check-ins with ICE or to go see family in prison. So the more people that we have who are able to respond to short notice requests, the better. There's literature about the rideshare on the back table there, and I can also give you more information if you want to come up to me after the event. Another way to get involved is through an organization called the Franklin County People's Fund. Some of you might have heard of, and proceeds from today are going to the People's Fund. The People's Fund is an organization that was put together by a small group of organizers when some of the family members of folks that I teach in Franklin County were detained over the last couple of months. As Hermana Rosa mentioned, there have been a few detentions and some deportations in Franklin County. What that does is open up lots and lots of legal fees, as these folks described, but behind the scenes, it leaves mothers with sometimes 4 or 5 children as sole breadwinners who don't have a way to support the family, don't have a way to work in immediate and ongoing crisis. And even after the folks are detained and the immediacy of the news fades away, these moms are still trying to figure out a way to make ends meet for their babies. And so money that goes to the People's Fund is not just for legal fees, it's for ongoing support of mothers who don't have a legal way to make ends meet in this country, trying to figure out what's next for them without the family breadwinners. So there's also literature back on the table about how to get involved in supporting the People's Fund. And super briefly, the way that works is that as needs arise, the support service workers who are involved in the People's Fund gather the information about what's needed and then make an ask to whoever's on the People's Fund listserv, and then people just donate what they can. And it's designed to be a really fast, immediate crisis response little overhead, that just the money goes directly to supporting those families. Last thing I want to mention is through my work at the Center for New Americans, we have numerous ways to get involved. Tutoring immigrants in English is one way. Undocumented immigrants don't only speak Spanish. There are many folks here without documents who need to learn how to navigate the systems to overcome the barriers that they're up against as best they can. And while more and more services are offering support bilingually, there is not often a person to speak Khmer. So being able to speak English at least enough to navigate systems is crucial for many folks, and tutoring is a way to supplement people who are receiving English support in classes in a one-on-one way. There's also some things that relate to the question that someone back here asked before around, well, how do folks make money? Is there a legal way for them to make money, or are there other ways for them to make money? I don't want to grandstand about those options here, but I would love to be approached and enter into discussions about that with people who are curious after the event. There's more, but I think we'll open it up for questions, and then maybe more information can come out that way. Thank you so much.
Open to questions, and I'll bring a mic around so everybody can hear the question.
Actually, this is an announcement. Many of you might know about the Safe Communities Act, which is right now, it's a bill that's, is that okay? Is that okay?
Rocket!
Can I just, because I want to say this before people leave because it's very urgent. Thank you. The Safe Communities Bill is a bill that's currently in front of the legislature that would make it so that state cops, local cops, public safety officers wouldn't be able to ask people their status, because that's the most dangerous point of contact between the cops and undocumented folks. This bill is currently in front of committee, and it needs to be voted out of committee by February 7th in order to make it to the floor of the legislature. Paul Mark, who's our representative, is a co-sponsor, and he has suggested, I talked to his aide the other day, they said, please, even though we're from here, please call this number. Representative Naughton is the House chair of the committee that it's in front of. So this is Representative Naughton. Please call. It's Naughton. And the number to reach him at is 617-722-2230. That's 617-722-2230. Please call him before February 7th. Please call him Monday morning. Thank you.
There are postcards back here with a direct ask for Safe Communities.
Yep, I want to add something to that. Can I?
Yeah, I just want to, if you could just put that on a piece of paper also and put it on the back table for anybody who didn't catch it.
About Safe Communities. So, if you go to the Mira Coalition website, there is a way you can check who is co-sponsoring and who is sponsoring. The main problem with the Safe Community now, as it is that it's in the committee. If representatives, they don't push hard to get it out of the committee, it's not going to be a vote. And it's supposed to be out of the committee by the 7th, and they may ask for an extension. If that doesn't happen, it doesn't get out of the committee, we're going to have to wait a year for it. Still, you want to call your representative, because the main problem that we're having now is that we're calling a representative, we say, but I'm co-sponsoring. That's not enough. We need representative pushing the committee to be able to get it out of the committee, because it doesn't matter if the representative is saying, eventually I will vote yes. Well, what they are saying behind your back is, I'm too scared to do anything, and I don't think this is going to work. So even though be thoughtful, call your representative, because the reality is that they're only gonna carry people that if their constituents are calling. Doesn't worry if I'm calling somebody from Boston, they don't care. I have to call somebody who represents me here. I just wanna say that.
The Safe Communities Act has been a legislative priority of the ACLU of Massachusetts. If you want more information, you can go to aclum.org. You'll find a lot on safe communities and the status of the bill and who you need to contact as well.
Well, just one thing is that preceding this whole initiative, we had 2 years of the Interfaith Council going into the jail. And then out of this also, I know, have come some sanctuary churches. And I don't have a list, and I don't know, but many of us are part of churches, and we could at least support the sanctuary churches that are out there. The ones that I know about are Amherst, First Congo, and now Northampton UU. Well, that I don't know the intricacies of it at all, but I would like to have March 17th. We're going to have March 17th. We're going to have a UU Western Mass Network Social Justice Committee's meeting in Greenfield. So maybe we can recruit some of you to come.
I believe that church in Turner's Falls, Our Lady of Peace, is also a sanctuary or open to be a sanctuary church. That's what I've heard. Father Stan. He says that they're open to being sanctuary, but there's nobody there right now.
Nobody's there. He had been sick since August, and now it's doing okay. But we know, he said, if the people need the church, they will be open. But we not work yet like a sanctuary church. But he said it is open. But we need to talk again what is meaning to be a sanctuary church, no? Yeah. But I don't know, maybe he's thinking about the community who lives in Turner's Falls. If they need something, they'll be there for them. But it is still open, I think. But now he can do many things because of his health. Yeah.
Can you repeat that date of when you all are coming together that this person gave?
March 17th, there's a meeting. Do you want to repeat that?
Well, we're going to have a meeting March 17th at All Souls UU.
In Greenfield.
In Greenfield. The time is not yet set.
So I say, we've gotten any number of requests for information and advice with regard to sanctuary and religious sanctuary. I did a presentation with Margaret Sawyer from the Worker Center at the Unitarian Society in Northampton a month, maybe 6 weeks ago, and we're happy to respond to what information, and perhaps you would want to have information before your meeting. And we'd be happy to respond to that. It's not a simple question, and there are many considerations. I'm happy to sit down. I've been spending many hours on this. I'll be happy to help out if I can.
You know how many people actually need sanctuary?
No. Wait, Stan was next.
Yeah.
He's had his hand up a while, then we'll come back to that. Thank you.
Be quick, just in terms of speaking to people on the committee about releasing the bill, the Safe Cities bill, are there any arguments or reasons that are being put forth to not release it that we should know about?
The reality is that there are no reasons not to do it. The problem is that nobody wants to be the first one starting to push So if it fails to pass, they are gonna look like the only one in solitary. Nobody wants to take the initiative. What the Safe Community Act does is doesn't allow local police enforcement or state police to share or to work with ICE. That's the principal thing that it does. They cannot collaborate with ICE in any capacity. That's key for what we need as a state. But the reality is that there is nothing that negative about it. Again, the ACLU website, aclum.org, there is a fact sheet that you can go and read about it. There is a lot of misconceptions about the Safe Community Act. I can assure you that if you go and get information, you're going to be reassured that it's something so positive for Massachusetts and our immigrant community.
I think it translates, one of the ways to explain the significance is if a policeman stops a car that's the headlights out, for example, and they'll stop the driver. They're not allowed to question that driver about their immigrant status. That's where the non-cooperation comes in, correct?
When I was contacted by the People's Fund, they said a lawyer to challenge a deportation costs $4,000. And then somebody else said, well, don't they know about Wendy Sibison? She's been doing that for free for years. So I wonder what the truth is about how much it costs to hire a lawyer.
All right, 30 seconds of background. The way that the Immigrant Protection Project functions is we have a coordinating committee, and every member of our 8-person coordinating committee has specific jobs. Wendy Sibison, who is a renowned appellate lawyer in Massachusetts and lives in Greenfield, is one of the founding members of the Immigrant Protection Project, and she has the specific responsibility of putting together and coordinating the lawyers who are representing people in bond cases in immigration court. So everything that the IPP does is obviously without charge to anyone for anything. We have dozens and dozens of lawyers now working pro bono in various aspects in various cases. So when you get, however, to the question of a merits hearing, okay, the person's now out on bond, great. They've got 2 years to put together a defense to deportation or removal. Okay, those 2 years will go by, and the question is, who is the competent lawyer who is going to be able to represent that person? That's going to be something we can help arrange, but we're not going to negotiate the actual fee with the private immigration attorney. That's going to be ultimately between that person. And I have to say, the faith community has been extraordinary in terms of raising money and providing resources for people who need them. And so far, we found the lawyers. So far, so good. But I can't tell you individual lawyers' fee schedule for representing somebody in immigration court on a merits case. But yes, there are lawyers who would charge to do a bond hearing, and yes, if we do a bond hearing, there's no cost.
Okay, I don't see any hands up, and I just want to, I see one hand up, because we're going to be wrapping up very shortly, so hang on.
Do you know what it means?
Oh, hi, I'm Daria Fisk, part of the Interfaith Council, and I just want to say I was at that wonderful, powerful, and inspiring meeting at the All Souls, not the All Souls, at the Catholic Church in Turners Falls, where Father Stan was inspiring. I mean, he basically said he is willing to be arrested, his church is open, and that whole Turners Falls has a huge number of immigrants, huge. I mean, I don't know, like 300 immigrants already. Anyway, Father Stan was amazing and inspiring, and I didn't know he was ill. I'm sorry to hear it.
Well, I think it's time for us to thank.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we want to thank our presenters, and we're going to have a time for people to make announcements of other events that may not have gotten mentioned today. But I think our presenters today really were amazing, so let's thank them.